Welcome back to the channel, y'all. Season 2 of the Vince Staples Show just dropped. We got stuff to recap and talk about. We are in a new setting, and we got some fun new characters, and some returning to claim the screen time that they deserved. If you like recaps, commentary, and reviews, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications. Let's get into it.
Every day I see you is a fine day.
Episode 1, Countryman. We pick up with Vince and his mother. They're talking about the recent passing of his Uncle James. If you remember from last season, we met his Uncle James during the family cookout. He is portrayed to be an O.J. Simpson-like figure, and as such has had similar issues to Vince because they're the only two in the family who have had a significant amount of money. The song Crossroads plays in the background to represent Vince is himself at a crossroads, unaware of how he should move forward at this point.
What happened to him?
He got sick. Cancer.
I thought he was a Gemini, Mom.
Boy, don't make me shoot you in the face.
After a dark joke about his uncle, his mother sends him to the store in preparation for the drive to the funeral. He pulls up to the store, and the radio is also talking about his uncle's passing.
Oh, hey, man, you can't. They're gonna. No, you.
As he's shopping, we get a glimpse of someone following down the opposite side of the aisles. This is the first of the apparitions that we see haunting Vince, and as he picks up his sponsored cereal that we saw last season, we see him deep in contemplation, presumably about the incident that happened with White Boy. He clearly holds a lot of regret. As he checks out, he sees his uncle exiting the store. He chases after him and is almost hit by the truck that is towing his car away. Womp womp. They can't go and get his mom's car back because she has unpaid tickets and presumably they're closed. His mother then says they can't wait until morning because that's when the will reading is. Vince suggests that they call his sister, and his mother protests because they're currently fighting. Besides, they get the family discount due to their Uncle James's endorsement deal. As Vince goes to get his mother a drink, we see that things just aren't working out for him right now. But a cutout of his uncle pops out from behind the machine. After the rental car company does what rental car companies do, his mother drops all niceties. To avoid his mother's subsequent meltdown, Vince pulls the clerk to the side and explains the situation. Now filled in, the clerk gets them a Mini Cooper. At this point, I thought we were doing like Italian Job or something like that, but this is an ad. I'm assuming this is how they paid some of the bills. Perfectly fine, but not overall important to the story. After getting the tour, the associate, Milton, asks,
"Are you that one nigga, right?"
Aren't we all?
Aren't we all? Then he asks if he heard of an artist called Slum Baby. He says, yes, he has, and he has a lot of creativity, but he needs a better team around him. Vince says, your career is indicative of the people that you have around you. Milton agrees and says it's predatory by nature, especially for young black men. One white man owns your masters. Another is selling your publishing. BMI and ASCAP take royalties on the back end. But if you're lucky, you'll get a touring deal and have to pay it off for the rest of your life. Vince returns to find the clerk, Emmanuel, and his mother bonding over some Casamigo. They're just about ready to leave, but there's another hiccup now. Vince's mom has been drinking. She remains calm and says she understands. She can simply use Vince's ID.
I lost my wallet.
Vince's wallet is over here. Without proper identification and no recent haircut, they can't release the car to him. As Milton walks back in, Vince asks, hey, can you tell them who I am?
Nigga, you ain't shit.
Turns out he is Slum Baby's manager. Vince's mom has to pull him to the side to tell him a story about taking initiative. She says he cannot keep going along with what happens. Every once in a while, you have to make a decision that impacts the day. Otherwise, you'll be Randy. Vince goes back to Milton and says if he helps, he'll come back and he'll give them a verse. Milton says, bet, let's go ahead and knock it out right now. He then brings Vince to the staff-only area, and it's actually a studio. As a matter of fact, there's a studio at every Kurt's location.
Hey, Milton, can I get like some inspiration for the track or something, bro? It's not speaking to me.
Death, poverty, destruction, and dismay. That feeling you get when you're in the streets and you take a loss.
It's crazy you said that, bro. We just lost my uncle, and that shit really been weighing heavily on me, you know what I'm saying? He was really an anchor in the family.
Fuck your uncle, nigga. Shit. I want to hear that shit.
I know it might just be me, but this reminded me a lot of Earl Sweatshirt's Burgundy with this line. Vince does eventually get into the booth, but after an off-color comment from Milton, a fight breaks out and it spills into the lobby. We get a fight scene between Milton, Vince, and surprisingly, this random drunken master who promptly passes back out after kicking Milton into the vending machine. The episode ends with them running off into the night, presumably to avoid arrest. Emmanuel does look like a narc, to be honest. Episode 2, Petting Zoo. Vince called his sister, and his mother is not happy. During the car ride, his mother insists that his sister apologize, and she is confused on why she even needs to do that. She brings up Juneteenth. Apparently, she had dinged her car and never told her about it, but Vince chimes in and says, well, I just got your car towed, so why does that matter? They continue to argue, and obviously there are some things that they're not saying between each other that's really bothering them. They're just nitpicking each other at this point. Vincent again tries tries to ease the tension, but to no avail. As they continue, a truck approaches them and runs them off the road. This is still not enough to get them to stop bickering.
Since when did you need an excuse to drink?
Conceiving you was the only excuse I needed.
That was fucked up.
It reaches a fever pitch and they both exit the car. After breaking up the argument, Vince takes over driving. And Vince accidentally hits him after being distracted by an illusion of his uncle. His sister tries to tell him that he should go back, but before he can, he runs out of gas. A rest stop ominously appears in front of them, and the trio decide on whether they should go in or not. The sister wants to stay, Vince says they have good gas prices, and the mom says she has to pee anyway. When they enter the gas station, there's no one at the counter. Vince then sees a board of missing persons, along with a bloody hand-printed magazine. When he makes his way to the back of the store, he sees something that we do not, but he is promptly caught by this guy. Vince goes to warn his mom and sister, and lo and behold, the guy that they hit is not actually dead. They see them unloading what appears to be a body, and his mom pushes over a vending machine to barricade themselves inside. As the men gain entry back into the building, Vince prepares to protect his family, who are hiding in different parts of the store. While they're hiding, Anita and Bree talk about what's really bothering them, and Anita says it hurt her feelings when she didn't show up for the family reunion because she wanted her to be there for her. After Vince surprises them,
Oh my God, you scared us!
the two men clear everything up. They actually own a jerky company, and all of this was just a big misunderstanding. There was a small sign on the counter that alludes to this, but Vince's paranoia makes him miss it. Vince's mom, Anita, and his sister, Bree, seemingly reconcile after almost losing their lives, or so they had thought during the time, and that episode ends as they bond over teasing Vince. That episode was full of horror movie references. Episode 3, God's Will. We begin with this junkie. This is one of Uncle James's lawyer. He's there to read the will to the family. After getting high in the car, he realizes he might have gotten a bad batch. Vince's immediate family, his uncles and auntie, are waiting. James's last will and testament were to leave his Bronco and his house to his nephew, Vince. Nothing else. But he also asked that he deliver the eulogy at the funeral. The lawyer starts to trip out and everyone begins to look like characters from the PJs minus the claymation. He runs out of the house and into the street only to get ran over by an ambulance. Anita and her sister are suspicious of the will reader and think he stole the money to buy drugs. Vince contemplates keeping the house, and his mom says, you definitely should because it's your uncle's last wishes. And as a matter of fact, you should stay here and do some housekeeping, but not before telling Vince that the house is haunted. When Vince goes to check out the Bronco, he gets flashbacks of James, his father, and baby Vince in the back seat of the Bronco during the low-speed chase. Upon returning to the house, the window he closed is open again. He then hears a knock at the door, but no one is there when he answers. After he walks away, he hears a knock again, and when he walks around the corner, the door is wide open, and he sees his uncle walk by. He runs after him, colliding with the woman carrying trash. Apparently, she knew his Uncle James, and says some rather strange things.
It's been years since somebody spoke to me.
Yeah. I've been kind of staying to myself lately, too.
Why? Did you kill somebody?
Overall, she seems like a nice lady, and as a parting gift, she tries to give Vince a mirror. She says he can use it in case someone tries to sneak up on him. He refuses the gift, and she reluctantly takes it back, but she says, tell James I said hello. After returning to the house, he sits down and watches TV, and it's yet another chase. The power shuts off, and Vince heads to the basement to check the breaker. While downstairs, he hears footsteps up above him. After he goes in to investigate, he hears his uncle's voice. He says he's proud of him. He gives him words of wisdom.
Remember when I would come down to your football games with a camcorder? You were awful, but you loved being on camera. Serendipitous now with your show and all.
And then one final warning.
Watch out, nephew.
Looks like he should have kept that mirror. When the burglars run back to the getaway car, the same song plays as the beginning of the episode. The burglars were casing the house before they went in, way earlier this morning. His uncle even tried to warn him earlier. He walks past the car that the robbers are in, but Vince is distracted. So I guess the house wasn't actually haunted. Maybe. Episode 4, Antisocial. The next morning, now with a giant Maynard on his head, he gets ready in a attire that is eerily resemblant of his uncle. When he gets into the Bronco, he notices that there's a package on the passenger seat. He decides to go ahead and deliver it. When he pulls up to the address, he's met with a valet that is very polite, too polite.
Welcome, Black King.
Is that supposed to be a joke or something?
Nothing is humorous about God's chosen people.
He informs him that this is a club of sorts, but we don't yet know its origins. Upon entering, he's greeted in the same way by not just the front desk, but also a server. Right before he leaves, he's approached by a woman who uses the same words to describe Vince's arrival as his uncle did.
What a serendipitous occurrence.
He again asks, what kind of club is this? And she responds, the best kind. And she asks if he would like to meet the house manager. As he waits, his curiosity gets the best of him, and as he picks up a book, it opens a secret door. Vince contemplates going the other way, but eventually chooses to enter. On the other side is a small theater. A promotional video for the club is playing. It's a Black Excellence Club, a place for Black icons. Vince and another guest surmise that it must be an old Masonic lodge or connected to Scientology. After he and the guests exchange conspiracies, Vince decides he wants to leave. When he goes to the next room, the doorman says he has to have a stamp to signify that he's a new member. He asks yet another guest, do you know the way out of here?
Why would you want to do that?
Zach Fox shows up and says he's been trying to get in this place for years. He's been drinking for a couple of days, but he's been here for weeks. He says all the other Black events are nothing compared to this. He sits down at a table to play a game that he assumes is poker, but is actually bid whist. When he doesn't know how to play, he gets kicked off of the table. I looked it up and apparently it's similar to spades, but I'm assuming the message is supposed to be like the Black Excellence crowd wouldn't dare be seen playing a game as lowly as spades. I don't know. Y'all got to ask the old homies about that one. But I'm guessing from Zach's reaction, he doesn't want to be seen with Vince anymore after this point, which is very on brand for that crowd. He tries to leave, but the exit leads him right back to where he was. The young man from earlier gives him directions, but when Vince realizes he's trying to get him to go back to the same direction, a fight ensues. Vince does wash him, but the young man that we now know as Oscar pulls an alarm. Vince tries to run away, but eventually gets cornered, disoriented, and passes out. Episode 5, Mr. Baldwin. Vince comes to, tied to a chair. He asks if he's been kidnapped. He has money, and the concierge insists that he hasn't. They just really want him to be a part of the club, but she says, you can leave whenever you like. On their walk to meet the manager, Vince asks again.
How long you been kidnapping niggas?
And she says he can't say that word or he'll be fine. We find out the club has been active since 1884, and Vince's uncle was a prominent member. She even says that they helped James fight the case against him. Before meeting the branch manager, Vince needs new clothes. So the concierge brings him to a tailor, and it's a man known for his extravagant suits, Steve Harvey. Not that one though. Now he's finally ready to meet the house manager.
Please welcome the house manager.
You guys, come on. It's amazing, you know, just to be in the presence of Black excellence.
Oh, all these niggas is crazy.
Oh, whoa there. Vince, we don't actually use that word here, bud.
The house manager responds by telling him to relax and take a drink. After all, it's non-alcoholic and great flavor. The branch manager says this is the place for Vince and others like him, the Black elite. He's just doing this for the greater good. Dinner's brought out, and the manager says he and his Uncle James were very close. In fact, they used to play spades together, and says that they'll probably end up being good friends too. He then falls over dead, quote unquote.
Who killed Massa?
The server tries to wake him up, and we're told that this is a murder mystery dinner. They have to figure out who did it. They go around the table, introducing themselves, stating who they believe is responsible. One implicates the help, and another implicates Vince, saying, well, it had to be you, because you just had a heated debate with him. Vince interjects that, well, he is kidnapped, but is quickly shushed by the concierge. He then decides to go ahead and play along. He immediately picks up on who the killer is, and they all applaud, including the now awake house manager.
I propose a toast to Vince.
He's gone.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
Who killed Massa?
Can't be fucking serious right now.
But then he is killed yet again. Another murder mystery. I'm not gonna lie, that part made me laugh. He figures it out again. They applaud again, but this time the manager is met with a tirade of curses.
You're a natural, Vince.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. You're an asshole. And you're racist. And ugly. And a piece of shit.
Racist? That's just...
And the only one that he takes offense to is racist. Vince calls security to retrieve the murder weapon from the judge's purse because the concierge is trying to frame her. This is in the game.
My friend. Wilson Combat. 45 ACP. Heavy too. This is a really nice gun. Where'd you get it?
It was a gift from my good friend, Mr. Baldwin.
So he shoots him in the head. Oh, horrible tragedy, great joke. I'll explain it at the end. As Vince is leaving, he sees his uncle and they share a warm smile. After all of that, he gets out, but is now being chased by club security. Episode 6, Uncle James is dead. Vince is officially headed to the funeral in his uncle's car. He runs over a dead raccoon, and we see he's in a chase in the Bronco just like his uncle, but this time his uncle's in the backseat. His mother and sister are bickering again because they've lost their uncle's body, and he says they're going to have to mediate themselves because he's not doing it anymore. After dispatching a couple of bad guys, you can definitely tell that some of the budget went into VFX this season. Vince has to make a quick stop because his ammo is depleted now. Cut back to his mom and sister, and the funeral coordinators bring the wrong bodies again.
He ain't in there.
Gotta be.
So wait a minute. You're saying that we don't know my brother?
Well, I can't speak on the family dynamic. What I can speak on is what's in the back of the van, because I packed it. In that van is every dead man named James in the past week and a half.
James is his middle name.
So that buys Vince a little bit more time. As he prepares for a standoff with the club security, a very fitting song plays as he is literally fighting for his freedom. After locating the right body, the funeral starts. They call Vince again for his location, and he gets hit by a car. The sweet lady does not pull a Vince and opts to pick him up instead, and she even has an extra blick for him. Well, it's not a blick, but even has an extra firearm for him. We then get a bit more insight as to what's bothering Vince. Obviously, his uncle's death. He seems to be having issues with his girl and the life he had to take. In the end, Vince makes it to the funeral, all messed up, but still. And he delivers a powerful speech letting everyone have it.
As you all know, my Uncle James, he was like a father figure to me. He taught me all kind of things, how to play football, how to drive, about forensics. But over time, he also taught me how not to be.
It seems he has finally figured out, at least a little bit, how he wants his life to go. He appreciates and respects his uncle immensely, but he doesn't want to be him. And I don't think his uncle would want that either. Then it ends with Blackberry Molasses by Mr. Damn, great song. But unfortunately, Vince still hasn't learned to watch his back. And that will conclude this season, y'all. I liked it. It was pretty different from the first season. Unlike the first season, it's told mostly in chronological order. If the first season was told in chronological order, it wasn't set up to make you think that. I'm pretty sure there was like weeks in between there between the bank robbery and the family reunion and all those things. This season happened within a week tops. They were a lot better at establishing a timeline through dialogue. The color scheme for this season was a lot darker, but I think that works because of the subject matter. That is kind of how Vince feels. The color is gone. The first season was a lot more upbeat. We explored more of Long Beach. This one was more about exploring Vince's psyche as a whole. I think this season was a good time. The Vince Staples Show can either be a very surface level show for you or a deeper one. It rewards you for looking around. I personally like shows and movies that respect their audiences enough to not spoon feed them. Set pieces were interesting. The pacing was good. The individual episode plots kept it fresh without drowning out the overarching theme, and it tied up everything very neatly at the end. I'm glad we got to see a different Vince this time around. Losing that family anchor really is a loss on multiple levels, and to be right in the middle of turmoil when it happens amplifies that. Vince now has to make all of these major decisions, not just by himself, but for himself. James was his go-to. He was the only one that had experience in those circles. So in the beginning, he feels lost because he can't just ask him what to do anymore. He has to trust himself, and he thinks he's not ready. But as time goes on, he starts to realize that his upbringing and his Uncle James taught him well. Part of growing up is realizing that instruction and mentoring is not just verbal. It's also done by example. And as much as James and Vince spoke about the dangers of the industry and family boundaries, the main takeaway was how he lived and died. He had a lot of regret. You can respect and cherish your loved ones deeply, but the best thing you can do is learn from their mistakes. When Vince makes it into the club, he's told his uncle was a valued member, that he and the house manager were good friends, even spades partners. They make it very comfortable for him to stay. All he has to do is stick to club rules. But Vince sees past this leisure club-esque plantation and sees who these people really are. As a matter of fact, Vince has other plans. Like the final episode says, Uncle James is dead. This is a rejection not of his uncle, but how he had to live in this environment. A rejection of the black elite standards that upholds respectability politics and is largely governed by white people at the top. They decide how you act. They decide when you are respectable. They decide when you should be treated like a human being. Vince giving James the opportunity to live vicariously through him after death warmed my heart. The smile they shared at the end says it all. He made him proud. The fact that it could only happen after James died is quite serendipitous. I'm sure most of you already figured out the Mr. Baldwin joke, but if you haven't, let's go over it. The security guard comes over to get the gun out of the bag. He hands it to Vince. Vince feels the weight and smells it and then asks where he got this gun from. It's a nice gun. The house manager says, "From my dear friend, Mr. Baldwin." Vince smirks and then shoots him in the head. The joke is Mr. Baldwin is the actor Alec Baldwin. They've been waving around this gun thinking it's a prop the entire time. All right, y'all, that's gonna be my recap and review for the Vince Staples Show Season 2. Let me know what you think in the comments. There were a lot of Easter eggs and references in this season, just like the first one, and I think I'm gonna make a separate video possibly for all of those. Let me know what you think. Subscribe, like the video, and follow me on Letterboxd. I'm trying to get up. I'm trying to get up on there. Recommend movies and TV shows. I like movies. You like movies. Let's be friends. You know? Y'all be safe.